What if I told you that the loudest power you can ever hold doesn't come from your voice, but from your silence? Ladies and gentlemen, silence is not emptiness. It is a powerful voice that speaks louder than words. In silence, we find clarity. In silence, we discover strength. And in silence, we heal. Silence teaches patience. It protects peace. And it allows us to listen to the whispers of our own soul. When you embrace silence, you learn that not every battle needs a reaction. Not every situation needs explanation. And not every pain needs to be spoken. Silence can change everything. Silence is often misunderstood as emptiness, weakness, or avoidance. But in reality, it is one of the strongest tools a person can cultivate. When you allow yourself to step back from the noise of the world, you create space for clarity to emerge. In silence, the mind begins to untangle its knots. The heart begins to feel its truths. And the soul begins to whisper its wisdom. Most of the time, people are so caught up in responding, defending, and proving themselves that they lose sight of the power that lies in holding back. Silence is not about suppressing your voice. It is about choosing when and how to use it in a way that carries impact. Imagine being in a conflict where emotions run high. Words exchanged in haste can damage relationships, but silence can stop the fire from spreading. That moment of quiet can provide perspective, allowing emotions to cool and thoughts to become clearer. Silence gives you time to understand yourself before reacting to others. In personal growth, silence plays a vital role because it creates room for reflection. In a world where distractions never end, where every device is constantly buzzing, people rarely take a moment to simply be still. Yet it is in stillness where real understanding begins. When you sit in silence, you are able to notice patterns in your own thoughts, recognize what is truly important, and distance yourself from unnecessary chaos. This practice nurtures patience, and patience becomes strength. You begin to realize that life does not require you to react to every situation. Not every opinion deserves a response, and not every provocation should disturb your peace. The discipline of silence transforms how you carry yourself, because it teaches you that control over your tongue is control over your life. Silence also holds the power of listening. When you are silent, you are not only quieting your voice, but also opening yourself to hear what others are saying beyond their words. You become aware of emotions, body language, and unspoken truths. This kind of listening deepens relationships because it shows respect and presence. It gives others the feeling that they are truly being understood. And in return, it allows you to build deeper connections. Silence strengthens empathy because it teaches you to observe and to feel rather than always to speak. Even in pain, silence brings healing. Words sometimes fall short of expressing what the heart goes through, but silence allows the soul to breathe. It becomes a safe place to process emotions without judgment. It is in those quiet moments that strength gathers, preparing you to rise again. By learning to embrace silence, you also learn to preserve your energy for what truly matters. Instead of wasting strength on meaningless arguments or unnecessary explanations, you redirect it towards growth, peace, and purpose. Silence is not a void. It is a presence filled with wisdom, patience, and resilience. When understood, it becomes the strongest answer in moments where words could only make things worse. Silence has a transformative power that many underestimate. In a world that constantly demands explanation, defense, and reaction, choosing silence is an act of strength rather than weakness. When you embrace silence, you begin to understand that energy is precious and should not be wasted on matters that do not contribute to your growth or peace. Every unnecessary argument, every attempt to justify yourself, every moment spent trying to prove your worth to others drains the energy that could have been invested in building yourself. Silence allows you to rise above noise, to hold your dignity, and to remain unshaken in the face of provocation. It is not about being passive, but about being wise enough to recognize that not everything deserves a response. Silence protects your inner world from being disturbed by external chaos. It serves as a shield that guards your emotions and preserves your mental peace. When people throw negativity at you, silence keeps you from absorbing it. When situations become overwhelming, silence creates a pause that gives you time to think clearly instead of reacting impulsively. It is in these quiet pauses that solutions are often found, because silence sharpens the mind and allows you to see what words can sometimes blur. The more you practice silence, the more you realize that it is a form of discipline that strengthens self-control. It reminds you that restraint is not weakness, it is mastery over yourself. Choosing silence also develops patience. Life will always test you with challenges, misunderstandings, and provocations. But silence teaches you to respond with wisdom rather than emotion. Instead of being dragged into unnecessary conflicts, you rise above them with calmness. That calmness does not mean you are unaffected. It means you are in control. Silence becomes a reminder that reacting immediately is not always the best choice, and often the most powerful response is no response at all. Another beauty of silence lies in its ability to reveal truth. When you remain quiet, you allow people and situations to unfold without interference. You learn more by observing than by speaking. Silence makes you notice details, emotions, and intentions that words often conceal. It deepens your understanding of others and of yourself. It creates a space where wisdom grows, where you no longer waste energy on proving, but instead focus on becoming. Even in moments of pain, silence plays a role in healing. Instead of pouring out every hurt in words, silence gives you the strength to process emotions privately, to protect your vulnerabilities, and to regain balance. It helps you conserve your strength, so that when the time comes to act or to speak, your words carry weight and your actions carry meaning. Silence empowers you to channel your energy into growth, into building resilience, and into walking your path with dignity intact. It shows you that real power is not always in being heard, but in knowing when not to speak. In conclusion, silence is not emptiness, but a profound strength that shapes our character, protects our peace, and guides us toward wisdom. It teaches us patience, sharpens our clarity, and allows us to respond with dignity instead of impulse. When embraced, silence becomes a shield, a healer, and a teacher, reminding us that true power often lies not in words, but in the quiet strength of self-control.